helping them with their personal style and choosing things that are good for them, but also even up to organizing, how they organize their closets, their wardrobe. So he's got tons of experience on both ends of the spectrum. Also, for everybody that's here today, I wanted to let you know that everybody in this room, all of the men in the company, are going to get a $300 gift card for you to use for any purchases for any type of personal style fashion that you need to work on. All right, so I'm going to leave this up to Les. I'm staying out of the room. I'm going to let this just be the men. Nicole,
I'm going to hang out for a few minutes.
So what did I do to deserve that?
All right, and then if you guys need me, just grab me.
Well, thanks for the gift certificate.
Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome. Thank you, Scott.
All right. Good afternoon, guys.
Hey,
Good afternoon, Les. All right. You know, just let me start off. We normally I do a lot of interview, type sessions where we go in and, we're getting the guys in and getting ready for the interview. And that's typically the time that you learn about what to wear to the interview. But once you've already gotten the job, you're there, or you're actually training people that are taking the job, what do you do? So to set that standard, sometimes, of course, company guidelines give you, hey, we need to wear this, we need to do this, but things are so different nowadays. And so with a lot of modern fits and with a lot of changes, corporate has taken on a whole different look. Flat front pants, modern cut suits, what's good, what do you do? A lot of stuff out there. The first thing getting started with, before you do anything, is to get a proper fit. No matter what you spend on a suit, where you get the suit from, you need to know your sizes. And the first thing that I do whenever I have a gentleman to come into me is I'll ask him, hey, what's your size? Does everybody know their suit size? Does anybody not know their suit size? I mean, honestly, what do you think? Okay? Nobody'd ever admit it. But you need to get the proper fit. So what I do and what we do as a stylist is we go in and we do a 16-point fit for you. I'll measure your biceps, your arms, we measure your chest, your shoulders, how long the jacket should be. You can't just go in and buy something off the rack, hey, you're 44 long or you're 46 long. It needs to be tailored to you if you're in corporate. Those small, minor details can make the difference in everything, in your meetings. So the first thing that we want to talk about, of course, it says it's going to get fitted. But then I'm going to jump right into the suit. What makes a suit different, or are any of you familiar with Canali? This is going to be pretty much the top of the line suit that we carry. And this is Armani. The two differences in the suits, this is your basic style suit. This is your basic corporate gray. This is all-around suit. The difference in this particular suit, as far as this one, you've got your peak stitching. And a lot of people think that this is just newfangled. This has been around for a long time. All of the finer quality suits have these details of peak stitching and so forth. So that's this is our Canali.
Sorry, peak?
It's a peak stitching.
Peak.
Yes.
You mean the peak of the
And the
lapel?
peak. Yeah.
What's a lapel?
And this is the lapel.
Collar?
I think the collar.
Yes.
This is your
Yeah,
collar.
you
This is
collar.
your lapel.
No.
As in hot.
I thought it was this thing that were up here.
Epaulette.
Epaulets, okay. I was like, we don't have.
All right. So the errors that are usually made when buying a suit, it's not about the suit quality and so forth. It's mostly the accessories, guys. It's the accessories that can take this Armani or this Canali suit and make it look like a suit from Kmart. So focusing on the accessories and those small minor details is kind of what I'm here to talk to you about today. Okay? The difference in how you tie your tie. At this level, the knot that everyone should really be tying right now is probably a double Windsor knot. You have a forward hand knot for a tie, or you slip knot. That's the first knot that we learn. That's the knot that we learn in what is it, Boy Scouts. The second knot is your half Windsor knot. Depending on the portion of your body, the style, how large your head is, how large your chin is. These are little details that you need to know. Okay? So if I can ask you to come up for a moment. I like to be a little bit more interactive, so if y'all have questions, you know, you can jump right in.
I love being an example.
Well, I know, hey, I'm telling you, I want you to come. So for proportion, and once we're looking at the tie knot for where you are, he's got pretty broad shoulders. Your tie knot should not be any wider than your chin. Okay? So if you're tying a knot for him, and I don't mind picking on you, can you untie that knot?
Sure.
I think it's a little too small for his proportion. It gives the appearance of having a balloon head, you know, with a little string on it. And I'm just very frank, so let's see, we want to
I've
correct.
been meaning to mention that.
I've been telling him that all the time.
All right, so for him, I would actually go ahead and do a full Windsor knot. You can do it, make it a little bit smaller if you like.
Shall I do it?
Yes, sir. Your full Windsor is a little bit more formal, but wear it all the time. If you can tie a real good knot with a dimple, it balances you out pretty good. Yeah, this man does a good tie. That's a good knot. There you go.
It's all the military effort.
It's all right.
This is why I like to sit in on the men's presentations. I learn something new.
All
What you
right,
learned
yeah,
there?
okay, now let's stop right here.
That you
Now,
can tie a tie
and
about
even
5
right here,
different
guys,
ways.
can you see the difference in the proportion kind of balances them out a little bit better? Small little details like that. And then we're going to take it and pull it here. You're trying to see. Okay? So, know your fit and know the tight tie that fits your body. And that's small little details that give an extra edge. Okay? Thanks for allowing me to beat you up like that.
You're welcome.
Get the show me how to tie that.
Hmm?
Get the show
Do
me.
we have any questions right now about fit or ties?
Bow ties.
Yes. What about them?
What's your feeling about bow ties in the workplace?
Okay. A lot to do with the workplace guidelines. Now, I'm very comfortable wearing bow ties, and I like to say, once I'm done with you and we get through, you have to be comfortable like you're wearing your pajamas. And that's how you should feel in your suit. That's how you should feel in everything that you put on your body. If you are comfortable to wear it and it's okay with your company, then I say by all means. But there are some times where you don't want to do, of course, do it. But if, maybe on a casual Friday or something of that nature, and because, one thing I must say is jeans, they're not business casual. You have your casual day and then you have your business casual. But a bow tie, I think that can be dressy or casual. Mostly with a sports coat, though.
With your opinion, I guess in the workplace, are you seeing a lot of bow ties in the workplace?
All over the place. Yeah, and that's why I said a lot of things have changed now. So the old standards that we used to have, I think Harvard is still teaching that the red tie is the power tie. When actually these are mostly your power colors is what he's wearing here. Your blues and your greens, and because they're calm colors. In this day and age, well, it's the truth, because there's been studies that prove in this day and age, of course, especially if you're in finances, if you're in places where you want people to give you money, or you want them to trust you, cool blues and things like that are the best. And so those are little tidbits you have to know. And so this guy's actually done his homework. So that's a power color.
Either that or just luck.
I'm sorry? Either that or look. That's good.
That's why.
What is it, Scott?
All right.
Actually, I got this tie endorsed from.
Hey,
I was just wearing it to show my spirit.
Your wife's Marcy.
Yeah.
I think I picked that tie out.
No problem.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, any other questions?
I have a follow-up to the bow tie question.
Mhm.
If we have a important client meeting we're going on, is that one that you'd wear a bow tie to?
Well, it depends on your relationship with that, with them. If it's a second meeting, or, it's a hard one to call. If you're comfortable wearing them, and it's a part of, I would probably say with the sports coat more so than a suit for the first meeting. But after you develop a relationship, they get to know your personality, that may be different, but I probably wouldn't urge the first time. I came here today with, this is me, this is who I am, I wear them. People know me for both ties. I don't feel comfortable in the others. So, do you have anything to say on that as far as your company and bow ties?
I have no problem with bow ties and sneakers.
And so the same thing with the color restriction, so you still want to kind of keep it in the lane. If it's a, you know, an important client or something, you know, let's keep it corporate.
I mean, the
colors
key for me is a super professional image.
Mhm.
And that, to me, is super professional, so I have no problem with it.
Okay, so in there, you know, there's your answer for that, you know, so. Now, if I can give you guys a quick lesson in tying, but when we get to the end as far as questions.
Are clip-ons allowed?
I'm sorry?
Are clip-ons allowed?
No way. You know what, now, I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, one thing that I have to say, I enjoy the fact that I can tie a bow tie. I enjoy the fact that I can drive a stick shift when others can't, or at least things. It's a wonderful feeling. And it's the easiest thing in the world to learn how to do. I can teach a rocket scientist to tie a bow tie in 30 seconds flat, and I guarantee it'll work. So I'm up for the challenge if anybody wants it, and I'll give that, you know, by the time it's in. It's identical to tying your shoelace. Okay. If you adapt it to the way you tie your shoelace, you can tie a bow tie in 30 seconds. I promise. It's never failed. All right.
He's right, he taught me.
Yeah, so we're still on to on suits. Any more questions about suits? And we're going to cover that a little bit more, but just from right now. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. There are three of us in this room who's actually our got very different hats. We're a small organization, but a big chunk of our job is to be in a room like this and to walk through that door with 10 strangers.
Okay.
And while we are business and while we want to be professional and so forth, our goal in connecting with them is to very, very quickly move from being strangers to being on a very personal level with them. Sitting in a silent room looking somebody in the eye saying, how do you feel about what you just saw? And very quickly get into a very, very personal level with them. So one of the things for me in dress has always been finding that balance point, and oftentimes, sometimes they're in suits. In some of our other programs, oftentimes they're in a pair of jeans with a white shirt and a sweater tied around their neck.
Okay.
So for me, the key has always been finding that balance where I'm like that far above everybody else in the room, so I maintain control, but in very approachable and easy, which is sort of why you see me without a jacket on. I rarely wear a jacket once I get here and I'm moving around the space. Is there what can you talk about, what can you say about finding that sweet spot of professionalism, well-tailored, well-fitted, depending on your body proportions and so forth, but maintaining a real sense of openness and
Sure.
this isn't about me, it's about the other guy over there, and it's about being approachable.
Okay, and thank you for that. And let me just mention, guys, with women, they talk a lot about seasons, and I may be telling the secrets to all the women, but their hair color, their skin color, their eyes, they know if they're a winter, they're summer, they're spring, and it's that's why they pick some of the colors that they do. And I do the same thing with men. Once you have gotten your color scheme, it really doesn't matter what you put on. You exude the confidence. First of all, for whatever it is that you're wearing, it takes 3 items to make an outfit, hands down. And if you are dressed to do a class, you have a tie, but 3. So if I had on a jacket, I need to have on a jacket, a tie, a pocket square. I'm dressed, that's an outfit. If I don't have my jacket on, I need to have a tie. And if you balance that out each time and just make certain that you have one of the proper fits, and then the pants, of course, dress pants, not jeans, but the color scheme of what it is that you're wearing that you feel comfortable in. And just looking at you now, you seem very calm to me. Okay, this kind of signifies your personality. Okay, this gentleman's calm. You're as wild as they come. Okay, and that's a good thing. I see your personality. I said you're as wild as they come, and in a nice way, because it shows your personality, everything that we put on.
Are you saying always have a pocket square if you have a jacket on?
Never. That's a. Oh, I'm going to get into that also. Thank you for mentioning pocket squares. There's a meaning behind pocket squares, guys. You're sitting in a meeting with some of the banker or something of that nature, depending on how you turn it. This is casual, upside down for sports coat. Going to a strict business meeting, you want to do a line across. A powerhouse, you going up here, upside down for points. But there's tons of ways to do it. If you are comfortable in a pocket square, then you can wear it.
I want to go back to what Doug was asking you about in terms of differences in dress between who we're working with and us. Because I'm sort of in the same boat with him, and I'm on the road a lot. And a lot of the people I work with will show up in t-shirts, in jeans. Some of them have sandals on, some of them don't even have socks. And while I don't want to dress like that, I wouldn't feel comfortable with
Yeah,
that. I also don't want to be so far above them that there's this perceptual gap that occurs that I have a difficult time in bridging with the work that I've got to do with it.
And that's why I was mentioning about the three pieces, and I failed to mention this, so that you can remove or take off
All right.
if you need to. So if you have a room that nobody's wearing ties, take the tie off, and then you can maybe wear the jacket. You got someone's wearing just, leave the tie on, take the jacket off. Three pieces to make that outfit.
I see.
And
Three pieces beyond shirt,
The shirt.
slacks, and shoes.
Right, right.
You gotta wear pants.
They gotta wear panties.
That's what I'm hearing.
All right.
So that way,
Pants or panties, Doug?
yeah, that way you can remove, pull, and take off too. And of course, your personality is the thing. Always dress
Agree.
for you, and it'll shine. It'll come out. It'll be fun.
So just to clarify, the three pieces are jacket, tie, and what's the third?
Either pocket square or that.
Or a hat.
Pieces. Or a hat, anything. All right. So we're going to go on next to shoes. Nowadays, gosh, they're making shoes very long, and slim, and European, and a lot of different type shoes. Picking up your shoes has to go back to the same proportion. We talked about the ties and how your tie should not be any wider than your chin. Depending on your height, depending on your leg length, depending on your stature, depends on what type of shoes you should be wearing. It also depends on if you're wearing a cuff, if you're wearing a skinny leg pant, which none of you should be wearing in here in the corporate. It makes a difference. Alan Edmond makes the most traditional shoe ever, and this is as basic and corporate as it gets. And these come in black, they come in chestnut, they come in a couple of different colors. This is your basic lace-up. It's a medium length shoe. I don't suggest any chop-off shoes for anyone. Just looking at everybody's shoes, right? But if you've got, the shoes that are just, they take away from your image.
Like a cap toe?
A cap toe, well, cap toe's not so much, but the,
Like mine?
Like a cowboy boot?
well, you know what? These have length on them. I think everybody's pretty good, but they have some that are just cut straight across. You should never get those with suits. We don't need them. This right, you need length. This is good. All these, everybody's doing pretty
You're able
good.
to attach loafer in a suit?
That's fine.
I was always told they had to be lace-ups.
No, not at all.
Okay.
And things have changed. Bruno Magli makes a loafer now for the working man, and it's a rubber bottom. And these are actually Bruno's that I'm wearing. And yeah, you don't have to do lace up anymore. Once your pants are in, you can't tell really if they're lace ups or not, but it's all about comfort. So it doesn't matter if they're lace up or slide in, as long as they're appropriate in the length. Any other questions on this?
Well, when, other than a brown jacket, brown suit, whatever, when do you wear brown shoes?
Okay, getting back to our personal, once you've gotten comfortable in what you're wearing, then you can start, now, are these quarter?
Yes.
That's considered the corporate brown. So, if you do the quarter button, and this is probably about in between these two, and you can do those with navy, with black, with any, as long as the belt matches. So don't limit yourself. But anything lighter than this, of course, you want to stick with your light browns and so forth. But for cordovan and dark chocolate, you can wear them with anything. Okay, as long as the belt matches. Any other questions on shoes? Heels, this is the basic heel, no thick heels. Rubber soles, if they're any thicker than that, don't do it.
Cowboy boots?
No. Not on my watch. All right.
They wouldn't let
But
me
we're
wear
on
me.
Oh, and another thing, like suede and, textured leather and, ostrich skins and stuff. Nah.
Those are club shoes.
Yeah, those are club shoes and those are party shoes. And that's the difference in, making that transition between the two. You should have your corporate work wear separate from that. Some pieces you can use, but keep it separate.
You gonna talk about seasons?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely will. You ready for seasons?
No, when you said suede, it got me thinking that way.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about literal seasons of the year,
No,
not
when
you're
you
a
said
summer,
suede
I'm a
shoes,
fall.
my
right?
mind immediately went to, when in the South can you break out your cashmere jacket? When is it appropriate? When is it
Usually
appropriate
around-
to wear a camel as a color if
Okay.
you've got a camel colored jacket?
Good deal. The one thing about Atlanta is that I have no idea about the seasons here. We can do stuff, usually. In Boston, I know for sure, you'd want to probably wait, do a little bit earlier. October is usually around the time here in Atlanta, don't you agree?
Yeah.
September, October,
I,
or?
what I advise all my female clients is when the weather really starts to change.
Yeah.
Here in Atlanta, it's late October, even early November to break out some of the cashmere. I'm a huge fall person, but you look a little funny if you start wearing it in September and it's 98 degrees. Where you could probably wear it late September, early October in the Northeast. So I usually advise the women, those true fall, winter pieces.
So this is temperature related. If it gets cold, wear it.
Generally speaking, yes.
That's about the way to kind of determine it here, because they're already in the stores. I mean, they're in the stores ahead of time. So by all means, if it's cool enough and you're in the spot, because you travel. If you travel, you may need to pack it. You might run into some cold. Okay? All right. Let's jump into, did you guys know you have to polish your belts? Does anybody ever polish your leather belts? Okay. Do you ever do that? A couple of things that I wanted to mention before we get to the next little segment here is the care of your belts should be taken the same as the care of your shoes. When you take your shoes in to get them shined, take your belts in. We have the best shoe shine guy I've ever met before or used in our store. His name is Gerald. And I will tell you, he's been in the business for some odd 35 years, and he's the best shoe shine guy in the world. And I'll tell you, if you want to lose a deal any quicker, go into a place and sit down with someone with your shoes not shining. Because the first thing that, and I know for women when they're looking for a husband, I think they look at his shoes first and see how fat his wallet is in the back. But I think the shoes. But the shoes and the belt is very important.
Looking for size more than shine.
Hey.
I'll say no more about that.
All right, well, I'm turning red. All right, so wingtips are fine to wear, dressy loafers, suede, textured leather, we talked about that. Let's not do that. Let's get into the dress shirt. I want to cover a couple of things real quick that are major. There has been some discussion as to how to wear a shirt and a tie. We know that it takes three pieces to make an outfit, but you can actually do up to 5 patterns if done correctly, and still be fun. Okay?
This is where it gets a little advanced.
Yeah.
You're losing me here.
All right. Okay.
Do you mind help us?
Yes, please. And I'm going to come up a little closer. Okay, guys. So, for a long time, whites and blues and grays and, hey, it gets a little boring. If you want to spice it up a little, guys, with these, to do it, 5 patterns. If you do a stripe, you can do a check, and what I'll call as an other. So let's see. If my suit is striped, then I know I have a choice of a tie that can be a check or another pattern. Now, I did the wildest combination that I could come up with just to show you, and it works every time if you follow these rules. If your suit is solid, you can do a striped shirt, and then you have the choice of a pattern tie or a solid tie. Every time it works, trust me on it. So this is how to kind of combine some things together, and it works, and it looks really good. So.
That's an example. Did you select the brown shoe because of the brown tones in the tie?
I did.
Would you have gone with a black shoe if you had a different tie maybe?
And you can, if you want to add black into that, you can do it either each way. Now, as far as what socks would you wear with that if you were doing it, just to throw that out?
Black.
Argyle gray.
Okay.
Match the suit.
Well, you can match the suit or you can do the sock, and that's always been a question up in there. Grays and blacks, if you stick with the gray, black, and navy, this is a brown suit, so you've got some gray, so I would probably go with the gray sock, or if you did a chocolate brown, something dark like that. Okay, here's another example. So now we've got a striped shirt, and we've got a pattern, and I'm going to do it with a solid.
Can you please put that like real close to the lens?
Oh, wow.
We can't see.
It's over here, Les.
Hey, I forgot you guys are even there.
We can't see any of the colors.
Come up a little bit
Oh, I'm
closer.
sorry. Goodness, I
Yeah,
forgot. All right, can you see that?
That's good.
All right.
Yeah.
So that gives us a stripe and a pattern and then a solid. And it works every time. Every time. So if you do your wardrobe in that way, you'll get a lot more use out of your suits, and you'll wear them more.
What if you've got a suit that's herringbone, which is striped, but it's not really striped?
Okay. Then, well, you still have other choices. If it's a herringbone, is it a muted color, double
Yeah.
color? Then you still
Tone on tone.
you can do stripe or you can do the pattern. So just mix it every time, no matter what it is. If it's muted, you can take the muted suits as stripe or solid, depending on if you're standing back and you can't tell. Okay, so that's one way to get your wardrobes and maximize your suits and so forth. All right, let's talk real quick about the button-down collar. Okay, with suits. There are certain times when it is appropriate, and there are certain times when it may not be appropriate. Okay, as long as the shirt, this is very appropriate, this is a dress shirt that's made for the suit. They have casual button-downs, which is fine, and you have on a, is this a suit or a sports coat?
Suit.
Okay, and as long as you have a dress button-down, then it's appropriate. Okay?
Les, what differentiates a dress button down from a casual button?
Okay, a casual button-down, in the back of it is probably going to have a button so that you cannot put a tie, in. And it's made to be worn with a sports coat, just open without the tie. But the dress button-downs have more of a pinpoint collar. So they are down and it lays real nice and flat, and the buttons are clear. So the difference is if you've got wearing a button-down and it's a white button, don't wear it with the suit. Clear buttons are made to be worn with the suits, and then the white buttons can be done with. Does everybody understand that? I mean, pretty much. You think you're pretty clear.
Are these clear?
Yeah, it looks good. You can't tell from back here.
Yeah, they're right on the edge, to be honest
Yeah,
with
you can't tell, but there's some that are significantly white. They're really almost like a pearl white. So steer clear from those if you're doing that.
Les, did you want to talk
Questions?
about spread collars?
Exactly. Spread collars. Spread collars are made to fit proportion and your type as well. So if you know your shouldn't be any wider than our chins, some bodies are made for spread type, some are made for pinpoints. Depending on the neck size, if you have a really big neck, then you want to do a medium spread. You want a little bit more of a spread. You don't want, and for real slim guys, they can do more pinpoint if you're tall torso. But if you have a little bit more neck room, go with a medium spread. It looks good when you put your tie on, and then when you put your jacket, it's not pulling down at you, and it's, so. Bigger necks, medium spread. I don't suggest wide spreads all the way over unless you're, for evening and things of that nature.
What do you think it's in there, the middle screen?
Which one is 10?
Bottom screen.
This one here?
Yeah.
It's pretty big. But you know what, I think you can get, probably do a little bit more with this tie to kind of match out. Because if you do that, we're talking about the slip knot or the forward hand. If you do that one skinny knot and you've got a wide spread, it's all the way off. If you're going to wear it, do a full Windsor or a double Windsor knot. All right, you guys have any questions? New York, San Francisco? All right, so colognes, you guys, we're all grown, we know no colognes, no scents, keep it natural.
Wait a minute, I've been using Old Spice aftershave all my life.
High karate.
It's not overbearing though. I mean, if you do a little aftershave, if you're going to a meeting and you're going to be sitting in there for a while, just don't go heavy on it. You're okay with a little Old Spice. Don't stop these things. You don't want your
We all know
skin.
the woman that stands in the elevator, right? And you're like, whoa.
And I'm guessing if you guys have any tattoos that you don't want to show. So
Brian?
Why is everybody looking at me?
Who's that?
Because I've seen you in front.
You can't, yeah, but none of mine you can see.
All right, so I do want to talk really just briefly, and then we're going to just open up for some questions. Most of you guys are probably going to be dressing in business casual, from what I'm understanding. Okay, so that's probably where I want to just focus it a little bit more on, is on the business casual side.
Is business casual a suit?
Business casual is a suit or a sports coat, but it is not jeans at all. No jeans at all in a business casual setting.
And I include like a dress shirt, slacks,
Dress
all
shirt.
matching kind of stuff. I mean, as far as
Exactly.
shoes and belts,
Exactly.
Tie.
and typically a coat.
And a tie, depending on the situation. We're talking about the three pieces thing. If you wanted to do the pocket square, and it was okay to do the pocket square and the business jacket with a shirt, no tie, that's fine. As long as everything else is, you need a dressy pant. Let me ask you guys real quick before I get going. How many of you ever do flat front pants? Okay. Is there any questions about flat front pants as far as what the difference is in a pleated pant and if it's appropriate? Any questions on that?
Talk about the appropriate.
Okay, so,
Okay, go, so I got a class to teach.
okay,
Thank
awesome.
you, it's been a pleasure.
Sure enough, okay. The difference in doing flat front pants, guys, is that the new pant style, just like the pleats, they're cut exactly the same. The difference is not to do the trendy type, but if you do a standard Zanella, Canali, they all make the flat fronts and they fit identical to the pleats without the pleats on the front. Just be mindful of how many pleats you're on. You don't want to do more than 1 or 2 pleats because it does add weight to you unless you need that extra room right in here. Okay, so there's not anything wrong with wearing, most of your nicer suits right now have flat fronts, but they are cut like pleated pants. So if you've never worn them and don't think that you can because they're actually full and they work really well. So there's not anything wrong with that as long as they're full cut.
So less something that would be too trendy would be a flat front with a more narrow leg.
With a more narrow leg, yes, yeah, definitely. And that'll be you go out. Okay.
So I've been told you can wear a cuff with a flat front and it can be straight with a flat front pant. Is there any rule to when you would want one versus the other, or is it just style, whatever your preference is?
Exactly, that's a great question. It is style mostly, and because of the cuff, if there's enough room for it to hang down to give a full break or medium break to hang over the shoes, then it's fine. But if it's a real trendy, go out kind of slim, no cuff at all, because that's not gonna work.
Les, is a cuff more formal or equal to a straight?
It would, well, it would be equal to a straight if it's a full front, full cut pant. Are you wearing a flat front now on this suit? Would you mind standing up so we can show the difference? Yeah, okay, see the difference then, and this is coming up just a little bit. Guys, this is the difference I'm talking about. See, this is a full cut, so it gives them a nice break, and you've got just a little bit of a break there, and that's perfectly fine.
But you would do that same pant with cuffs as well.
If you want it, yes.
Personal preference, no
Personal preference. Now, the first choice is to go plain bottom with flat fronts. Flat fronts, plain bottom, pleated pant, give them a cuff, usually because of the weight, usually in the way that it hangs if you do with the pleats. So, and there's not anything wrong with either one.
And then you wouldn't cuff yours because they're more on the narrow side.
Because these are on the narrow side, yeah.
Now, what about the break of the pant? Because I always get asked, what break do I want?
Okay, and the break is also depending on if it's going to be a shoe, pant that you're going to wear with the same type shoe. Kind of stick to what, I mean, your behind, your bum, your legs, your thighs, all that comes into play. How you wear the pants, where you wear them, what type shoes you're going to be wearing. Medium to full break is usually recommended for, especially in a corporate setting, with a fine pant. Medium to full break. Very rarely do you do an A break on that, unless you just have real short legs. But try to stick to medium to full break on that.
So Les, you said that it's going to depend on size, and we have a range of sizes. So is someone who is taller and thinner, would they do a medium break or a full break? And like, what comes into play with that?
Well, and that's the thing about that, and I was mentioning about the size. If you have bigger thighs, and some guys have longer legs, longer torsos. If you need more room, and you pull your pants up, you need to go with a full break, no matter what your size is. But if you've got, if you got more thighs and stuff, you need that extra room. And also, you got to remember, you guys are doing business. You're going to be sitting down, getting up, and also a lot to do with the crotch. If you need that extra room, by all means, go ahead and go with the full break, because it does give you more room when you sit down. Those things you have to take into consideration. So, shorter pants, no crotch.
Let me ask a suit question. I see a little bit of it in what you're wearing right now. A jacket that's maybe slightly shorter, slightly tighter fitting. I happened to pick up something the other day on an airplane where the guy that plays the new James Bond in the films wears rather tight-fitting suits, slightly shorter, tighter-fitting pants in all of his films, and they were talking about that fit. That seems particularly difficult for somebody who's got an 18-inch plus neck, and thick shoulders and chest like I do. Is that just a fashion element that's sort of hot right now? Or that sort of tighter fitting, thinner, slightly
It's for body
shorter
style.
suit?
Yeah, and
It's never going to work on
We
my
couldn't
body
get,
style.
me and you are not getting away with that.
Well, but let me just say, it's a twofold question, because yes, it is part of the style right now. However, it's been around a long time. If you've got a shorter torso and a longer leg, yes, by all means, we need to, that's why I said you fit, and we fit it to your body style. I fit it to your body. You may be able to do a shorter jacket. We used to be able to just cuff it. And the top of the thing, that's just old school. That doesn't apply anymore because things they're cut different. But you by all means, you could wear a shorter jacket. I wear a shorter jacket because I have longer legs, and my arms went, and I would be way down here with a jacket. So you come in and let me measure you. I think you look really good with the short jacket.
You do custom shirts as well?
We sure do. We do. And as a matter of fact, and I'll take a real quick moment to say that, guys, cost-wise and as far as investment, suiting, investment for your shirts, at Nordstrom's, of course, we make, we do the whole gamut. We'll do the shirts, we do custom pants, the suits, and we'll do them exactly according to what your needs are. Cost-wise, it's about the same. We started about $99 to do a custom shirt or a made-to-measure shirt. A 16-point custom shirt starts at about $145. Really great Egyptian cottons, and those things last. And I'm going to throw something in real quick before I forget. I don't know how many of you guys, if you buy a good shirt, if you're using a lot of starch, if you're having cracked buttons, all these things, we want cracked buttons, yellow stains under the arms, all these kind of things like this. You should be wearing a pretty good size thick t-shirt, even if you get hot. I've got t-shirts for that. I've got very thin t-shirts you can wear to keep the yellow and the stain coming from down. your buttons that are breaking, it's because they're using too much starch. And when they take them out of the laundry in the machines, they're still kind of hot, and they put them right on the press and they crack them every time. And that's how you get those cracked buttons. We have, if you have shirts like that, bring them in, we can put buttons on them. We can, attention to details, we're there for you. Any other questions? We've got about 5 more minutes, I believe.
I have 2 questions.
Yes?
What are your thoughts about cufflinks as well as double-breasted suits? I like cufflinks, but sometimes I don't like too much bling, and though they look nice, one has to balance that and make sure that it's not too flashy, because you just can't help, but it's a nice touch. And the double-breasted suit, of course, it has to be worn constantly. You cannot open a double-breasted suit just like that because it loses its shape. So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, good question. Let me speak very quickly on the cufflinks. I think that in a corporate setting, if you have not gotten to the point where you're adding the personality, I think you should, if you wear a watch or ring, stick with something basic, sterling silver or either gold, or you're wearing a cufflink there, basic. And those are not seen all the time, but stick with something basic. After you get into the company, if they allow you to have a little fun, by all means, add a little color, something fun in there. They're not being seen right away, but stick with silvers, golds, something to match your watches, your rings, and so forth. What else was it?
Double-breasted.
Oh, double-breasted.
Double-breasted suit.
Well, I'm still on the fence about the double-breasted suits. Every designer is making one this year, and they kind of come and go each year. It's like wearing a bow tie. If you have the personality to wear that double-breasted suit, then by all means wear it. But then again, if you're in a place where you cannot take the jacket off, that's true. So I don't see anything wrong with it. Everybody's wearing them, but you can't take the you can't take the jacket off. So.
Les, do you find double-breasted suits to be along the more formal side of things?
Well, they used to be, and the reason why, and he's mentioned the double-breasted suits, I think that even Joseph Abood has a double-breasted suit this year. And guys, get ready. 3-piece suits are back with a vengeance this year. Vests are everywhere.
Vests, yeah.
And there's not a thing wrong with doing a vest, and actually that helps out. That's one of those third pieces to make an outfit that you can add. So as long as it's a nice wool, it's a nice, perfectly fine. You can still do those things. All right. Let me see, is there anything that I forgot? Any questions, guys? I mean, anybody want to?
I had a question on the more casual look where you're dealing with a sport coat and a pair of slacks. And it seems like there's a pretty wide range that you can go with that. I mean, a lot of things that I never thought would go with each other, they're putting with each other. So is that maintaining the current trends?
It is, and that's also a good question. The one thing that you want to do when you're purchasing a sports coat, and I didn't bring one that had multiple colors and so forth, look at your buttons on sports coats. If you look at the button, I don't think anybody's got one in here, but it actually will tell you all the colors that are in that jacket. And you may get home and watch it and see that, but if you've got a brown or some multicolored, it's got a check pattern, that button will have every color that's in that jacket. It'll tell you the pant colors that you can wear, the ones that will be, best to be worn with that. And so that's a little tidbit that.
It'll be on the button?
It's the button. The button has a
Button
swirl.
The
It
color
has a
of the
swirl of colors. The lightest
Oh,
color
okay.
pant or the lightest color that's in it will be. And if you never realize, like, gosh, I never knew that.
Yeah, I gotta ask, is that just like an anomaly of observation, or is there some dude somewhere saying, we gotta cast this button with this swirl of color in it?
Well, but no, I think they do it. Tommy Bahama, I don't know if you know the story about Tommy Bahama and their buttons, but they're made from coconut. They're actually made from coconut. It's easier right now. Hugo Boss is one of the main ones that do it, and Joseph Abood, because they also sell the pants to match with them. So it's just kind of like this Over Animals thing. So that way, hey, we sell more pants because that helps you out in your closets. So I can look at the button and say, hey, I can wear this with that, this, and that's how most of the multi-colored jackets are. So if you can find a nice check that's got your browns, blues, navies, it's the whole gamut. You can travel with that one jacket, couple pair of pants, and, you know, hey, it maximizes.
I'm
That's
gonna learn
awesome.
coconut from here on out, guys.
Mhm.
Just coconut for me.
Hey, I'm telling you. All right.
And a sport coat that it has the bright metal buttons, is that in place in business?
It does, and you know what? That is probably the dressiest of the in the business world. Hickey Freeman makes one that's got a burnished, not as bright color, but you know that's just very traditional. But if you go traditional with that brass button and all that, everything that you wear needs to be in accordance. Because if you do not wear the basic colors and the basic, you know, work like the Allen Edmonds shoes and all, it just looks kind of funny. Hart Schaffner Mark still makes they're kind of old school kind of flair, but just keep everything traditional. So if you do it with that, make sure the shoes are traditional. Don't do flat front pants and things like that that are not full leg. No, everything needs to be traditional. That's just my thoughts on that with the brass buttons.
You're holding a suit right now that's double vented at the back versus a single or no vents. Any thoughts on that?
Awesome. Okay. Back again to fit. First thing that I mentioned is fit, 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 fit. There is a purpose for these right here. If you have wide hips and you got a little bit more space, you know, in the back, you know, you may want to go with side fit. Not only, do you know what these things were made for to begin with? Anybody know?
You can sit on a horse?
Yeah, but actually you keep them from wrinkling. So if you're in a meeting or so and you sit down, you lift it up and you sit down. And that's how, so that way you can, you know, wear your jacket and not get it wrinkled. But also for the body type. So if you've got a pretty wide hips, you do want a little bit more here. Slimmer guys can do the single vents and all really well, no behind and all that. But that's it.
Any feeling on shoulders in jackets? Pads, padding,
Oh,
loose?
wow.
That's fully fashion, right?
Pretty much. Now, there are some soft shoulder jackets. Canali makes probably the softest shoulder that we carry without any padding. That boils down again to if you're a broad shoulder guy and all that, because the gentleman here has got pretty broad shoulders and I think you have a narrow, so you have a more soft shoulder. And then you have more of a broad shoulder, so you wouldn't need as much padding in yours anyway. One thing about fit is that when you come into our store, I'm going to measure and see if you need more padding, and we're going to do it individually. So you may need more padding here or more there. So have your tailors and all, once you go in for fitting, check to see, and let them do accordingly to balance you out. Those are little tidbits, you know. Okay? All right, I think I'm going to have to go ahead and wrap up. Do we have a